Fellow Californians and Atwater residents, just last September, in a lawsuit filed against the Trump administration, the governor argued that it was illegal to withhold funds because California's policies conflicted with the federal government. They argued that the conditions on funding by Trump were, and I quote, part of the administration's attempt to bully, cajole, coerce state and local governments into following the Trump's administration immigration policies. They also allege in that same complaint, and I quote, the funding conditions placed on these grants are unauthorized by Congress and are unrelated. The imposition of all of these immigration enforcement requirements in contravention of congressional intent is unlawful and unconstitutional and should be halted. Fast forward 10 months to just last Thursday. We received a letter from the Governor's Office of Emergency Services attempting to do the very same thing he has accused the Trump administration of, namely, that unless we rescind our sanctuary city resolution, we will be denied coronavirus relief funding. A big difference here, however, is that it was never California's money to begin with. On July 13th, 7 members of the Congress wrote a letter to Governor Newsom making the case that he has no authority to hijack federal funds in this way, and in any effort to add California-specific conditions to prevent that money from flowing down to local governments would be illegal and defy Congress's intent. So, call the governor's attempt to deny funding to our city an inconsistency, call it a position reversal, call it a double standard, or even call it ironic. But whatever you call it, don't think it's about public health. This is about trying to get the political last word, if not an act of political reprisal and revenge. They have tried to put a gun to our heads to make us fold. They want our citizens to feel scared and vulnerable. Don't be. They want to increase political heat, or we become the next victim in a long line of victims in today's cancel culture. They want to win. They need to win, even if we are just a small 29,000 population city in the Central Valley. Because of one resolution of solidarity and support, the governor has withheld federal funding stream to the people of Atwater, ignoring everything else we have done as a city to take this pandemic seriously, despite being the first city in Merced County to declare an emergency, despite working with businesses to help them open safely and well, and encouraging their compliance with state health protocols. Our resolution, apparently not the kind of solidarity and support that the governor is okay with. In hindsight, if we had told our police to stand down for mass protests instead of small businesses, the governor would have accepted, excused, even celebrated that. After all, many Californian mayors who welcome mass protests in flagrant violation of the shelter-in-place orders have absolutely no fear of loss of funding, but little old Atwater does. Apparently, Atwater's problem is that it hitched its wagon to the wrong political horse. So I want to be as clear as I possibly can to our citizens of Atwater. We expected and anticipated this counter move. You may be surprised by this ultimatum, but we are not. In anticipation of all of this, we balanced next year's budget and took aggressive, forward-thinking financial steps based on the assumption that no money would flow from the state and that no help would come from Sacramento. We did not mortgage our future for this money, and we have no reason to fear now. Do not let this threat here surprise you. It does not surprise us. We expected and prepared for it and balanced our books without it. But if they really want an apology, if they are really looking for us to recant, here it goes. We apologize for declaring ourselves a sanctuary city for businesses. We are sorry that this is what it takes or what it costs in 2020 to think for yourself in the face of the regime that exploit public health to advance their own agenda. We just hope that some may start to see that the glaring double standards and the arbitrary decided winners and losers of this pandemic So I asked the governor to come to Atwater, listen to our people, hear our concerns, see the work ethic and patriotism and the public safety we continue to take seriously. Look the people of Atwater in the eye and explain to them why mass protests of a political persuasion are okay, but they cannot worship or be responsible business owners. Look them in the eye and tell them you are not picking pandemic winners and losers. Look them in the eye and say the money and the time Atwater has spent on COVID-19 does not matter. To the citizens of Atwater, we are not surprised by this, and the latest ultimatum will not sway our resolve, and we ask that it not sway yours. We heard you loud and clear at the special meeting in May where we passed your resolution with overwhelming community support. Stand firm with us again today, because rescinding and recanting will sure cost us more in the end than it could ever hope to gain by it now. Thank you. Meeting recessed for a 10-minute break.